Incoming broadcast!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is of course part of a series where I focus on a specific director and rank that director's work from worst to best. Done such directors in the past such as David Lynch, David Fincher, Wes Anderson, Spike Lee, Spike Jonze, the list continues. You guys can check all those directors and many more in the playlist down below. But guys, you clicked on this video so you know what this time around I'm focusing on Alex Kendrick's movies and ranking them from worst to best. Now, Alex Kendrick has actually done 6 movies as of the filming of this video, September of 2021. So I'll be ranking it from 6 being his worst to 1 being his best, and of course, my opinion. So all that exposition aside, guys, let's get started. So kicking things off at number 6, we have Flywheel. Now, Flywheel has an interesting production history because this was actually a movie that was made by Sherwood Pictures. Sherwood Pictures is obviously the company that Alex Kendrick created along with his brother. And that was also, if I'm not mistaken, also the name of the church. And they were making this movie, obviously, just for fun. They wanted to obviously get out a message and everything. They spread it across other churches and everything. And then eventually, it did actually make it into theaters. Not too many, albeit, but still, it's honestly like a miracle project. Like, when you think about it, the behind the scenes is quite fascinating. But unfortunately, the behind the scenes is much more fascinating than the movie itself, because the movie itself, it's hard to watch, and not in like a, oh my goodness, like Prisoners type of movie way. It's more of like a, oh man, this is not a good movie at all. I don't like this movie at all. Like I said, the thing that I like about this is the behind the scenes and nothing really else. So that is why for me personally, Flywheel is at number 6. Next up, number 5 is Overcomer. Overcomer is the latest Kendrick brother movie, and Alex Kendrick with this movie, what I will say is he has an opening shot that is really good. The camera's slowly moving into the school, and I was like, holy cow, this movie might be good. But then the rest of the movie continued, and I didn't like it. It fell into a lot of cliches of the sports genre, and honestly the Christian spiritual genre too. Because the thing with this movie is that it clearly has a message, and it clearly has themes that it wants to get across, and it doesn't even do so in like a nuanced way. And in my eyes, it's also not something that I feel like a lot of people that outside of already the people that want to hear this are going to be interested in because of how they go about it. So it's a shame, but again, there's definitely an audience for Overcomer. There's a lot of people that like these type of movies for sure. And Overcomer, you can definitely see, like with Rotten Tomatoes score for audiences, that audiences dug it when they saw it. But for everyone else that isn't converted, so to speak, it's not that good of a movie, and that is why it's number 5 for me. Next up, we have number 4, which is War Room. Now, War Room was actually the only movie on this list I hadn't seen before wanting to do this list, but 4 of the 6 movies I decided to rewatch, because 4 of the 6 I hadn't seen in like years. Overcomer I saw 2 years ago, so that's why I didn't revisit it. But War Room, it was my first viewing yesterday when I watched it. And I have to say, War Room was one of those movies that I missed in theaters. And I still remember my parents kind of getting angry at me the fact that I didn't want to see it in theaters. It was because during that time I didn't have Movie Pass and I didn't have AMC A-List. And it's like, okay, am I going to watch Sicario or The Walk? Or am I going to watch War Room? So yeah, if I'm going out of pocket, you guys know which one I probably would have chose. Give you guys a hint. Sicario I own on 4K. So, but anyways, after watching War Room, I'm glad that I made that decision to see Sicario over this, because War Room, it's not good. It's very problematic. But what I will say is that it is okay shot. Like, the shots are okay. They're passable. But what I will say is this movie definitely heavily reminded me of another movie on this list. I don't want to spoil what that movie is because I haven't talked about it just yet, but it felt like a carbon copy of a certain other movie that's on this list. And honestly, for the life of me, it was baffling because I watched both of these movies in the same day. So believe me when I say that these 2 movies are way too similar for my personal taste. So, but if you like War Room, that's okay. I saw the rating on Rotten Tomatoes for audiences. Audiences seem to really dig it, and it did make a decent amount, especially for this kind of movie at the box office. So clearly there's an audience, but for myself, it's just copy and paste is best utilized in Microsoft Word, not really in the movie. So yeah, that is why it's my number 4. Next up, number 3 is Facing the Giants. Whilst Overcomer faltered quite a bit, I think Facing the Giants is not a good movie by any means, but it did have some entertainment aspects with dealing with the sports. Again, much of it is cliched, and much of it you've seen a dozen times. But I will say, towards the end, the way that they did execute the sequences, they were kind of entertaining, I can't lie. And that is why I have this way higher than Overcomer, because Overcomer just wasn't that good. Versus Facing the Giants, I don't know if it's because I watched it so much when I was younger, but it's definitely, in my eyes, a better film than Overcomer. I also think that its heart's in the right place, this movie, even if it does feel a bit misconstrued and honestly misguided. But overall, facing the Giants, I did get some entertainment value. It's by no means good, but there is some entertainment value to be had for sure. And that's why it's number 3. Next up, number 2 is Fireproof. Fireproof's that movie I was mentioning with War Room. War Room is essentially a replication of Fireproof, except from the perspective of the female in the relationship and not the male. And I gotta say, Fireproof, the only reason why I have it a little bit higher is because I think Kirk Cameron's overacting is something to behold. I think the humor for this movie doesn't work. I think that the themes and messages are very misguided and really feel like something from like a 1950s movie. Although a 1950s Christian movie, I should say, not even like a 1950s, like, you know, as other audiences would say, Hollywood type movie. It's not that. It's very misguided. And I think that one of the big things I've noticed with Kendrick's movies, just from watching them literally in the span of a week, is that the female characters are very underwritten, and a lot of times it's like they have to be helped. And I think that it's a shame that they do this because, especially in the year 2021, it hasn't aged well in the slightest. Like, it's very misconstrued to say that a female should have it where it's like waiting for a guy to change, and how it's very healthy for a guy to literally be saying like, no, we can't get divorced, and then like, give me 40 days, and then after 40 days, she then falls in love with you again. It's like, no means no. At least that's what I was taught. And so it's like, it's hard to watch when you see it, that there's this mindset of like, you can change someone's mind with that, and especially with the help of God. I think that it's very misconstrued, and I think that, again, for myself, it's problematic, for sure. And yes, I know I'm saying that I have a lot of problems with this movie, but again, Kirk Cameron's overacting, it's something to behold, and that's why it is number 2. Next up, number 1 is Courageous. So Courageous, I actually saw 10 years ago in theaters, and I forgot to mention, of all these movies, the only ones I saw in theaters was Overcomer and obviously Courageous. Courageous, I think I saw maybe once on DVD after I saw it in theaters. It wasn't a movie that really kind of stuck with me. Like, I think I did give it like a 4 out of 5 when I first saw it, but I just never really thought about the movie since then, and I know that it's turning 10, I think in like a week or two. As of the filming of this video, it turns 10. I believe it's like late September. So I know that there's an audience for this movie, and I can respect that, but I just feel like the Kendrick brothers have it where it's like, they have a certain formula, and then they plant it in different genres. And with this type of movie, it's a police drama that they're trying to, you know, ignite certain themes and messages into. And I don't think it works, because literally the last 20, 30 minutes is literally a sermon about telling the audiences on how to be a father. And I think it's a bit misguided because everyone's different. And that's the other thing. The Kendrick brothers, specifically Alex Kendrick, obviously the main director, he has it where it's like a black and white kind of view of the world. And I think that that's problematic in itself, because there's a lot of gray in this world. And if you are looking things at a black and white lens, then you are going to have issues, because not everyone sees it that way. In fact, many people view the world in gray because, let's face it, we all are different. And that's what makes everyone unique and what makes us all great. But this movie doesn't see it that way, just like all these other movies. But I will say Courageous, it does have decent production design. And not only that, the camera work actually isn't too bad. And I definitely do think that they finally were able to get like good cameras. Now, I will say, obviously, with War Room and Overcomer, they also did. But I felt like Courageous of those movies did the better job with its budget. But not a good movie per se, but definitely the best of the bunch in my eyes. But yeah, guys, that's my ranking of all of Alex Kendrick's movies, all 6. I want you guys to keep it civil in the comment section. I know when I review Christian-based stuff that it can be a bit heated in the comment section, such as my review for Unplanned Samson, God's Not Dead 3. So just please try to keep things civil. But I do want to also talk about this director, because I try to do that at the end of each ranking video. So Alex Kendrick, he's a director that not a big fan of his. In fact, I think that, like I said, he does a copy and paste formula and then implants it into certain genres. The messages are very heavy-handed. The acting isn't the best. It's hard trying to be in the right place, but at the same time, it views things in a black and white lens, and I just personally am not about it. The treatment of female characters in particular is very one-note, and at the same time, also an issue that I have. Overall, just as a director, I'm not a big fan of his. I'll watch his stuff if it comes out, because at this point, especially with the way I was raised, I'll watch it. I'm already seen all 6 of his movies, so I may as well, but man, is his work hard to get through. Alex Kendrick's movies, guys, what did you think about them? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and rank them down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching with the subscription, notification bell, and all that. Catch you guys later.